today. Last night our sink, like, water would not shut off, and so we were up super late trying to make sure nothing like overflowed and we could turn off the sink so we could actually go to sleep. So I don't have a lot of energy right now, and I don't have a lot of time. I'm actually just getting ready for work. I just want to like make myself look a little bit more awake because I'm pretty tired. I thought I'd film this just because I never know if I'm gonna have time to film, and I really do want to like get videos out more regularly. So I just thought I would film this today, just kind of how to use a little bit of makeup, just a couple products to make yourself look more awake, and then I'll be out the door for the day. Okay, so I'm not gonna put on foundation or anything today, so I want to make sure that my face looks clean and my skin looks good without having to put foundation on. So I've already cleansed, like washed my face. Then I'm just gonna use a toner. Just put that on a little cotton pad. Toners will just balance the pH and sometimes even clean off a little bit more of the dirt and debris off of your skin. And then I'll just put on a serum. And then I'll just put on a little facial oil. And then I do a little eye cream. Hope everyone's doing well. I feel like after the holidays, winter is kind of drab. Just sort of drags along, and I absolutely hate it. Like, winter is fine if it's surrounded by Christmas and Thanksgiving and family and stuff. But after that, when you just have school and a bunch of slushy, muddy crap on the streets, then it's just no fun. And last, I'll just put on some sunscreen. I put on sunscreen every day. I used to never put on sunscreen, and I don't feel like I have like any sun damage, like sunspots or anything like that. But then just like a month ago, I got my first like little freckle, which is sun damage, right there. But it made me really sad. And so I realized that like even if you're not seeing the sun damage on your skin, the sun is still damaging your skin. I mean, it's not bad, but it just shows me that as I age, I feel like the damage I did to my skin can come out, and I'll see it and I'll be really sad. So wear your sunscreen now. So I'm not gonna do any foundation today. Like I said, I'm just gonna put on a little bit of like concealer. I'm using a pretty lightweight one, and it kind of matches my skin tone, so that'll help with just blending in better since I won't have any foundation on. And what I like to do is I like to take the little applicator that comes in, and I dot a little tiny bit on my finger. If you get too much, this is just gonna look super unnatural since there's no other products on our face. So I am just gonna kind of cover up the things that I hate right now on my skin. So I get seriously, like, that's too much for one spot. So I get a little, I have this weird guy back here, and then I'm dotting very softly, and then I leave it there. I dot one time and I leave it. I'll get a tiny bit more and then continue, and I'm just covering up everything that I don't like. I mean, I'm leaving a lot of like, I have like overall some redness on my skin, but I'm just getting the big dumb areas. And then I let it sit so it can kind of just, I don't know, melt into the skin a little bit. And kind of dry that way. If it dries there, then when I go to kind of blend it out, most of the coverage will stay on the spot that I put it on. So, because a lot of times with this kind of like a trick, people put on the concealer and you blend it out and immediately it just comes right off of the spot that you're trying to cover. So I just like to use like a really small amount and then just let it sit. And then I'll do these like the redness under my nose, just a little bit. Ooh, I hope I didn't get anything on my shirt. Oh no, it's a fuzzy. Whew. Okay. That's good enough for me. So still a lot of the redness is on my skin, as you can see, but I've just covered up the main things. And then I still just use my finger to blend it out, and I tap so gently. I just use tapping motions, never swipe, because that's just gonna pick the product right off your face. Whoops. Again, you're not putting lids on things. You're just gonna tap ever so softly. More so like around the areas that you put concealer on, not right on top of what you put it on. So So I'm blending out the edges, and of course I have to blend out on top a little bit too, but blending out the edges is the best way to keep the coverage on the spot you're trying to cover, but make it look natural. And the thinner layers of product that you work in, again, the more natural it's going to look. If you're going in with like a ton of product all from the beginning, it's just gonna look really thick and cakey on the skin. So use just like the smallest amount, and you can always add more if you need to. Just again, I'm just like really taking my time and slowly going out so there's no more redness peeking through. And then here, hopefully you can see. I didn't even think about that. I'm just trying to go to work. And while we're here, I am gonna go under my eyes because concealing around your eyes is really gonna brighten and wake you up. So I'm gonna still just get some on my finger, a little bit more than last time though. And then I start here in the inner corner and dot kind of just around underneath where I have the most discoloration. If you're looking to see exactly where your dark circles are, look in the mirror and then kind of tilt your head down, and they become sadly apparent, and you realize how many bags and baggage you're carrying around in your life. So I kind of look down, start again in the inner corner, and then I follow that and then kind of fill in. Okay, so go around the eyes now and just carefully pat again to blend. Don't swipe, just pat the product around, and use your ring finger because it's going to apply the least amount of pressure around your eyes. And I kind of look up because again, we all have creases and folds under our eyes. So looking up is just gonna kind of flatten those out. And then all the stuff in the inner corner, I just kind of drag onto the lid just softly. And then blend there and up just a little. So you can already see that this eye looks so much more awake and bright and alive than this eye does. And then just set that concealer so it doesn't crease. But I will go under my eyes because that tends to crease so fast and can make you look super old and wrinkly. Then I'll just blend out the other side. And then I'm just gonna do like a light amount of powder over the other areas that we did just so they don't move around. But again, just a tiny bit. And you can already see like my overall, the texture. My skin looks a little bit smoother. My skin tone's just a little bit more even, and that's all I really wanted. And then the next thing that I would do is eyebrows. Your eyebrows give shape and dimension to your face. So filling in those eyebrows makes your eyes stand out a little bit more. For me, I can't. If I'm putting on any makeup at all, my brows will have to be done. So I have a little brow pomade, so it's like a cream, and I just pick it up on this little angled brush and brush it through in little strokes. I start underneath just to give like a clean line. The sharpest part of the brow for me, I like to be the tail, this end. I feel like it looks the most natural. And when I'm done, I just really softly brush out with this spoolie brush because it'll make sure that the product's in there evenly. And then I'll do the other one. Okay, that's good enough for me. They're filled in, and I feel like that also just makes me look a lot more awake because like I said, they frame the eyes, they give shape to the face, and yeah. So then I take my bronzer, this bronzer here, and then I'll just take this thick like fan brush because it's fluffy, but it still gives me a little bit of precision because it's not as like wide. I take this bronzer and I'm just gonna bronze the skin. So I swirl in my brush and then I tap off the excess because I don't want to get too much product all at once, and then I start kind of upper ear hairline area and I go down into about the outer corner of my eye following my cheekbone, and I use kind of really soft buffing motions, and it just adds a little bit of warmth in and dimension. And then the last thing I do with my bronzer is I take a big fluffy brush for your eyeshadow and I dip it in a couple times, and then I tap off the excess here, and then I just swirl it into the crease of my eye because a lot of people when they're tired their eyes get really puffy, and so adding the dimension back to the eye will make you look a little bit more awake. So I usually just kind of tilt my head back and you can usually see and kind of feel where your crease is at. It's just above where your eyeball is and under where that bone is, your eyebrow bone, whatever, your brow bone. And that's where you want to put the product. And I usually start kind of in the outer corner because where you lay down your brush the first time is where the most product is going to be placed. If the outer crease is a little bit darker than the inner portion here, then it's going to look more natural. So I kind of just really softly lay down my brush here and I just kind of swirl that into the crease. So I go back and forth, and then I like kind of buff it around also. And so start in the crease, but then so that you make sure you blend it out, I kind of blend up a little bit and then down onto the lid just a little bit as well, but the most color is just right there in the crease. And we're done with bronzer. We're basically done with the eyes too, so I'm just gonna add a little bit of mascara. With mascara on your lashes, kind of hide your lid a little bit and make your eyes look bigger because it's covering up that lid space, and so it does make you look a little bit more awake. There it is. And then there's the eyes. I'm just gonna add a little bit of blush. Makes you look a little bit less dead if you have a little color to your cheeks. This brush, literally the handle broke off, but I really like it, so I'm using that. I tap it in a bunch of times and then I tap it off. I go right above where I applied the bronzer, and I don't bring it in too far. I like to keep it back here in this area. I feel like it looks more natural. And then I just kind of pat it around, swirl it in. Make sure they're even. I get a lot of bronzer sometimes. If you do that, just take your powder brush that's pretty clean and just swipe over it. Too much blush I think can look super clownish, so just wipe over it with that and it'll kind of blend it out and fuse it together. The last thing I add to the skin is just a little bit of highlighter. I feel like highlighter makes your skin look really like healthy and dewy and youthful. I'm using an eyeshadow actually because I feel like this looks best on my skin. I'm using this really super light one right here and this kind of tapered brush right here. Got hair on my nose. Okay, so I just tap it in a couple times, tap it off. It's easier to start with less and then add more as you go than to take away. So then this goes right at the top of your cheekbone, above the blush, and I start kind of out here on the outer corner of the eye and I just sweep along that cheekbone and I kind of carry it up and in a little C shape here. And then I take a tiny bit, tiny bit under my brow and over on my forehead. I kind of put it all over and I feel like that looks really nice, but it's kind of up to you what you do. The one thing that's hard about highlighter is it does emphasize texture because it can be a little bit reflective, but to me, If I keep it back in this area on my face, I don't have as much texture, so it's not that big of a deal. If I bring it in here where I have a lot of pores, it would definitely make my pores look huge. So I just keep it kind of back in this area. And then I take a little tiny bit on my chin and my upper lip, like Cupid's bow area, and then just down the center of my nose just a tiny bit. So now I'm gonna, I'll just spray some setting spray, and that will just kind of melt all the products together and make them look more skin-like. Okay, and the last thing I do is apply a lip gloss or some sort of like tinted lip balm or something like that. And I like to go with like a pinky nude kind of color that's similar to like my lip color, just adding a little bit to it. And that's all I'm gonna do today. So that was really just a couple products. And I feel like it really just gives you a really put together kind of a look, but it's super easy to achieve. You can do this in like 5 to 10 minutes. And I feel like a lot better going into my day looking like this. So I hope that was helpful and enjoyable. And thank you so much for watching. I hope everyone has a great day.